In today's video, I just kind of wanted to look at just a general overview of what makes Ark just such an addictive title. As when you look at it as a game, there are countless people saying just how addictive this game is, and I just wanted to maybe go through a few things just from research that I've done before going into this video, and also maybe just a few personal preferences from my point of view that really makes this game so addictive. And the first thing I want to talk about is this game's niche. Ark Survival Evolved is a game really like no other. While some may compare it to a game like Rust, in my opinion they're completely different and incomparable, apart from the fact that they are both survival games in the context of where you will need to use the resources in the world to survive. You'll have a hunger bar and a thirst bar, etc., and you have to survive with the climate, and it's quite a PvE environment in both senses. Obviously Rust is more designed around the PvP environment, while Ark is more designed around the PvE environment, but both have both options. Of course, I'm not saying one has to do this and one has to do the other. Another thing which Ark really does excel at is all the dinos. They're not just pretty things to look at. These creatures are something that you can interact with. They're cool in their own right. They have their own abilities. Just like, look at the Defactness here. Like, who doesn't want to tame one of those things and just start ripping some things to shreds? You just want to absolutely destroy loads of things. They're a bit comedic as well because they can just flop on land and all of that. That's another thing which adds to it. I would say this game doesn't take itself too seriously. While obviously it does have its serious moments and very developed story, which we'll get onto later, it doesn't fail to not take itself too seriously, with you often going around on some pretty goofy dinos and goofy bugs and glitches just being apparent in the game, while maybe not being deliberate, but being sort of deliberately just kept in the game because there's no real point in removing them, as they don't destroy the immersion, they just simply add to the experience. Also, Ark is commonly known for just anything can happen. You know, the classic thing of if you're looking for a creature, you're never going to find it. And if you're not looking for that creature, you're going to see it everywhere. Just so many little things in Ark that just so many players experience. A sort of universal experience of anything really goes, anything can happen. It's so diverse in all the situations that you're going to get, and most situations are unlike any other unless it's already kind of set in stone from the beginning. But a lot of your interactions will be right in the moment, considering that all the dinos have their own NPC characteristics to them. It does make the world feel a lot more lifelike, especially in ASA, since they did upgrade the AI, although I think they could still go further with this, but that might break the game too much to an extent and maybe make it a bit more frustrating for players to learn round. I think that would be a thing better suited to Ark 2 though, as there'll be a much bigger change there. In ASA it makes sense to only have really these small improvements, especially in the tracking of the dinos going along, because it does make things a lot nicer. Just creatures don't actually just go in a straight path to you, they'll actually find a path which is suitable for them to walk on. Still think they could improve flyer following though, as they can't just simply loom behind you, they'll still just circle around you like crazy things. I think that could still be improved on. Maybe that would get improved for Ark 2. That would be really cool. Another thing is the customization, because ASA is quite a customizable game, same as Survival Evolved 2. You can customize your own characters and just give them all goofy looks, and you can paint things, you can put your own signs up with your own text, and you can build your own bases and all of that as well. While games like Minecraft will offer the same sort of sense of creativity there, a lot of other games, like some games in the Zelda franchise, don't really offer this sort of creativity. Tears of the Kingdom definitely does though, with the Ultra Hand ability. That is quite a sweet one. If you couldn't tell already, I've been playing quite a lot of Tears of the Kingdom at the moment. I'm a bit Tears of the Kingdom hype, because I'm only sort of getting into the game now. I know it's been out for a while. I have played it before a few times, but I've sort of just had a re-inspiration for the game, I guess. Another thing is all of the variety of creatures in Ark. while yes, you've got loads of dinosaurs that truly existed in the world, and you actually do learn more about dinosaurs. Ark players are more knowledgeable on dinosaurs that existed in the real world, and I sort of like that. It brings a commercialism to some creatures which maybe you wouldn't see. Like, do you know any other games that really have a pego in them? I can't really name any off the top of my head, but what is it called? The one Titan thing, that game where you play as dinosaurs. I can't remember what it's called. Path of Titans. There we go. I think that's what it's called. That might have one, but I'm not sure. That would be the only one which I would say would have one. That is another great dinosaur game as well, although it does follow into a different niche, and we're not talking about it today. This is Ark Survival Evolved, but I think, you know, the diversity and kind of rarity of the creatures that you'll find in this game is unlike any other. Again, it really does fit into a specific niche that no other game really can combat with. The PvP is also something which people say is very appealing in the game, and that just makes them want to play it more, especially if you're playing on official, or you know, you've got to get round raids. It can be really addictive to just want to be on all the time and protect your base, and it's always a bit haunting in the morning, maybe even daunting, you could say, logging on and seeing if you've been raided. And there's a lot of excitement in that. Obviously, it's not the happiest times when your base has been raided, but it's always nice when you're raiding others, and the highs and lows kind of go through it all. Maybe at some points you have to take breaks, but at the end of the day, we all really do come back to the game that we all know and love. I'd also say the same for PvE as well, and more specifically the grind in that aspect. Yes, it's there in PvP as well, but still I find a lot more grinding is done, at least in PvE, to some extent, of loads of things. In PvP it tends to be more specific to, you know, combat tree and electronics and, you know, the general stuff. You're still obviously going to be grinding loads of metal and like cementing paste and silica pearls and oil and meat and hide and all of that in PvP. It's sort of more specific to both, I could say. I'll get on something actually with PvE later, sort of change my mind on that, because PvE is more about the exploration, which is what I want to get onto last. But yeah, the grind is definitely on both. Still, I would say maybe a little bit more in the PvE side of things. But the maps are so expansive in Ark, and the room to explore is great. It is an open world game after all, and while maybe some places can feel a little bit neglected if the dinos weren't there, you really don't get any of that, again, because the dinos are there. It's not like a Zelda map where there are Easter eggs all over the place, but there are all the explore notes to find, and the dinos really fill up everything, as every space has its purpose to facilitate for all of these walking creatures.